Hello everyone, this is Releaser1 and welcome back. This is part 7 of What If Deku Had Lelouch's Powers. In the last one, we went through the Stain arc and the internships, and Deku managed to save Ida and Manuel while getting some credit for the capture. Rescue, just only that. So we continue at this part with the students versus teachers final exam. Let's continue. The first day after the internships, Class 1A was sharing their experiences of what they learned from their internships. Some people enjoyed their internships, while others didn't enjoy it at all. Deku and Uraraka were walking together holding hands, and that caught everyone's attention. All the girls knew, but the boys were clueless. Deku was being interrogated by Denki and Mineta. Deku had removed the command on Mineta to stop being a pervert, and they questioned him about his relationship with Uraraka. Deku just says that they are dating. Uraraka catches up with the girls briefly, and then she takes a seat next to Deku. The class continues sharing, and then someone brought up the Hozu incident and how they saw Midoriya on the TV, and all the attention was focused on him. Deku was looking around nervously, and then Kirishima said, "Deku, you look so manly on TV. Was it true that you fought the hero killer?" Mina asked. Then they kept bombarding questions towards Deku. Deku had everyone calm down as he answered all their questions. Yes, I was the Hosu incident. Yes, I helped the heroes, but I didn't overstep because I wasn't licensed. I did see the hero killer stain. Ida was in danger, and I intervened, and then he escaped, but before the rest of the heroes could come. That's pretty much what they heard from Todoroki and Ida as they chimed in before Deku arrived. Aizawa walks in and makes an announcement that the final exams are coming up. You better be ready for that. Some of the class starts to panic since they were not prepared and they slacked off on their studying. Uraka was a little worried, but Deku assured her that he would help her study. The rest of the class makes the same plans to study in study groups. Class 1A is in the cafeteria later on as they are discussing the final exam and what could it be on. That's when Monoma comes up and bumps into Deku. "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump into you." Deku stands up, and stares down at Monoma, and Monoma gets scared and run away. "Be careful next time," Deku just says, chuckling. Just then, Kendo comes up, chops Monoma on the head, in the back of the neck, knocking him out, and says sorry about him. "It's fine, just what's his problem?" Deku asked. Kendo explained that because of his quirk, he developed an ego and an inferiority complex. "That sounds familiar," Deku said. Everyone in Class 1A knew who he was talking about. Everyone glanced over at Bakugo. "So I heard you guys are worried about your final exams. I heard from our classmen that we'll be fighting robots," Kendo mentioned. With this news, most of the class cheered. This was going to be easy, they thought. "I don't think that's going to be the case, especially with all we've been through," Deku said. Some of the class thought Deku was being paranoid, while others trusted his judgment. There was a reason he was on the top of the class, and reason why he was class president. The next class started. It was rescue training. It was a race in the industrial zone. The first group was same as in canon: Ida, Mina, Sero, Ojiro, and Deku. The race starts. Deku jumps off and uses the float ability to stay in the air as he looks for All Might. After confirming his location, Deku used his grappling hook to get closer to buildings and bounce off the buildings and structures with One for All. He makes it in first place, and the rest finish a little bit after. Everyone was impressed with Deku's win, but most of all his control over his new quirk. It was almost like he was flying. Bakugo was upset thinking that Deku grew stronger while he didn't gain anything from his internship. After the classes were done, they went to go study and train for the final exams. Deku, Uraka, Mei all study at Deku's home. Although Mei had different exams, she could still help with the studying. Inko was there to provide snacks for the hardworking students, she didn't see anything wrong with what they were doing until she saw Deku holding Uraraka's hand while Mei was behind Deku with her hands wrapped around him. This caused Inko to freak out, and the students started to separate from each other. And then Inko's mom demanded to know what was going on. Izuku, tell me what's going on. Nervously, Deku answered, well, Mom, you see, I wanted to tell you, but, how do I explain this? Mei bluntly answered that they were both dating Izuku. Hearing that answer, Inko went into shock and passed out for a little bit. She came to and demanded a more detailed explanation from Deku. And after the explanation, she commented, Izuku, I raised you better than this. You can't have two girlfriends. When you want to get married and have a family, society won't allow it. Deku looked saddened. His mom was right. In the future, if they got to that point, what would happen? Uraka suddenly spoke up. There's a way for both of us to marry Deku. Everyone stared at her, confused. How can it possibly be for someone to marry two people? Uraka took a deep breath and explained. Quirk marriages. In them, a man can marry up to 3 women as long as it results in a baby, so we could get married that way. Uraka's face at the time was turned red by the time she finished that sentence. This revelation shocked everyone. Inko was lost in her own thoughts, thinking having grandchildren, but it being weird that they would be half siblings, but she would love them either way. Mei was thinking that if she had a kid with Deku, then the thought crossed her mind. The thought never crossed her mind, but before that, she just imagined her child making gadgets all day while Deku was doing hero work with Uraka. Deku was relieved, but at the same time anxious about the thought of marriage. It was too soon, he thought. They were still in high school, but he could worry about it later. Anyways, one problem was solved at least. After they all regained the composure and calmed down, Deku hugged Uraka, with Mei coming up behind him and hugging them both. Inko to the side was crying her tears, saying, my baby is all grown up. He's going to get married and have children of his own. Time passes as Deku and Uraka continue their studies and the training for a final exam. When the day arrives, the students are lined up in front of one of the training sites with Aizawa. I bet some of you have an idea what the final exams will be. Some of the students are just all in unison say that they're going to be fighting robots. Aizawa shatters their hopes. Normally, yes. But this class has experienced things other students haven't. So there's been a change of plan. Nezu then pops up. Along with a bunch of heroes from the UA faculty. That's true. Students, it's not easy coming up with the final exam. It will truly challenge you. So I decided for your final exam, you will be paired each to fight a teacher. But you will also be fighting a number of robots you defeated during the entrance exam. But they will not be the same. They will be outfitted to counter your quirks. While the teachers will wear these weights to make things fair. Nezu explained the rules for passing the exam are same as in canon, but they could not leave the area alone. The pairs must both make it out. Also, they must defeat all the robots before they could exit. The class was in a panic. Not only were they fighting teachers, but also robots created to counter their quirks. Matchups are the same as in canon, and the only difference is the added robots to make it more difficult for some students. Deku was waiting in the observation room looking at the matches, seeing how his fellow classmates did, seeing if he could make some sort of strategy. He tried to discuss a plan with Bakugo, but he just told him to fuck off and then left. After Uraka finished passing her exam, she came behind Deku and hugged him. Congratulations, Uraka. I saw your match. You did great. Thanks. I gotta admit I was worried for a minute, but in the end, my hand slipped and I took the opportunity when 13 hesitated, she said nervously. Now, how about your match? It's coming up. You think you'll pass? Deku could understand where she was coming from. He was paired with Bakugo, that hated him with a passion, and was fighting the #1 hero, All Might. It was not going to be easy. It was then announced that Deku's test was starting, so he had to go. Well, it's my turn now. Deku then leaned closer to kiss Uraraka on the lips, and then he left the room. As Deku and Bakugo were standing at the test area, he tried to convince Bakugo to team up, but he refused. I don't need your stinking help, you damn nerd. I'll defeat All Might all by myself, Bakugo proclaimed. That's impossible. You're not strong enough, Deku shouted. What you say, you damn nerd? I'm the strongest one here. I'm going to be the next #1 hero. You're so egotistical and delusional, Bakugo. You can't see past your own pride. It's been like this since you got your quirk. Everyone praised you and let it go to your head. And you use that power on those weaker than you. That doesn't make you strong. I don't need to hear that from a weakling like you. Fine. If I tried. But there is one last thing I'm going to say, Bakugo. I'm stronger than you. And I'm stronger than All Might. And I'm going to be this #1 hero because not because I'm the strongest, because I'm going to be the best hero I can be, and there's nothing you can do about it. Hearing this, Bakugo got enraged and he blasted Deku point blank in the face with one of his explosions. But Deku was fast enough to block with his hands and powering up with One for All. Bakugo was going to throw another explosion, but then a giant wave of destruction was heading towards them. One of All Might's smashes destroyed half a straight path through the whole city. Bakugo was thrown away by the forest while Deku tried to keep his ground, but was slowly being pushed back. All Might then announced that was a warning shot. Next time he's going to go after them. Bakugo got up moments later and charged straight at All Might. Deku just ignored them and focused his attention on the robots. He saw it in the distance while Bakugo was distracted fighting All Might. He could focus on the robots. Deku made quirk of all the robots. They were armored and sturdier than the entrance exam, but also more stronger than then. Also, he was more stronger than that time. Meanwhile, Bakugo was getting his ass kicked by All Might, and Class O&A could see it from the observation room. Bakugo was no match for All Might, and he was getting tossed around like a ragdoll. Getting knocked to the ground, punched through a building. This is asinine. Why doesn't Baku just work with Midoriya? Momo said. It's because his pride and ego. He won't work with Midoriya, even if it means he loses. He reminds me of how I used to be. I'm glad I got over it, thanks to Midoriya, Todoroki said. Class looked at Todoroki, who was speaking his mind. He's been more social since the sports festival. He must have been due to Deku. Deku was finished with the robots. Then he turned to look at Bakugo, getting his ass handed to him. All Might punched Bakugo towards Deku and caught him with his hand. Oh, let go of me, you damn nerd. Deku let Bakugo go, and Bakugo once again charged at All Might. Then get punched right back towards Deku. This happened multiple times. The final time, Bakugo was knocked out. Looks like he's finally tuckered out. Deku dropped Bakugo on the ground. So are you ready? Are you ready, young Midoriya? All Might asked. Ready as I'll ever be, All Might, Deku responded, and he powered up to 25% of One for All. Deku and All Might stared each other down as they charged at each other. Everyone who was watching looked from where everyone was watching, it looked like they disappeared. All they could hear was shockwaves of their battle raging on. Deku and All Might kept trading blows. It was pretty even, but Deku slowly gaining advantage using his martial arts. All Might wasn't prepared for this. He never had to fight where his opponents had similar strength to him, and so this was a new experience. Deku kept countering All Might's punches and also kicking him when the opportunity came. At the same time, when All Might and Deku as the same time went by, All Might and Deku looked exhausted. And All Might then said, well, it looks like I don't have to hold back anymore, as he ripped the weights off. This was not good, Deku thought. If this goes on, he will be able to win. He has no choice but to use his last resort. Deku powered up to 30% and charges at All Might and to continue the fight. Deku could not keep up. He was going to lose. All Might was going at 95% of One for All. He needed to create opportunity to end this. As Deku and All Might locked arms, All Might bending Deku's arm, making him feel pain. All Might was sure he was going to win. But he let his guard down, and Deku took the opportunity to power up to 40%, knee All Might in the stomach, then headbutted him, making him dazed. Then he uses Gios to make All Might surrender, ending the exam. All the students were shocked at what happened. All Might lost, and it was Deku who did it. After getting healed by Recovery Girl, Deku joined his classmates. All of them congratulated them, and Uraraka jumped and hugged Deku. Aizawa came up. Congrats, I'm impressed. You students accomplished a lot, while others need a lot of improvement. The ones that failed the exam got depressed. You will all be going to the training camp that's happening next month, but those who failed will be taking extra classes. All the students that were glad that they were all going to training camp, but those who failed were worried about the extra classes. At the class, the students decided to go to the mall for supplies they needed for the trip. Deku was holding hands with Uraraka as they walked through the mall. Everyone split up and decided to meet up by the water fountain after some time. Deku and Uraraka went shopping together. They finished early, so they made their way to the fountain. They sat next to each other and made small talk as they waited for everyone else. Uraraka went to get some drinks while Deku waited with the bags. This is when Shigaraki approached Deku and placed his hand around his neck. Shigaraki wanting to ask Deku the same thing in canon about why Stain is more popular than him and why people would want to listen more to Stain than him. With Stain still being on the loose, he keeps on spreading his message, but less of a kill count. Deku answers the same thing about having conviction, but also explains that his way of thinking was flawed. Just then, Uraraka comes back and sees a strange man in a hoodie with his hand on Deku's neck. She could tell something was wrong. Deku, what's going on? Oh, is she your girlfriend? Be a shame if something happened to her, Shigaraki said. With that threat, Deku had to think fast. He used his watch as a mirror and hypnotized Shigaraki. After he tied him up with his grappling hook, he called the police. Shigaraki was taken away to Tartarus prison and then was escorted there by many top-rank heroes. After it was all over, Deku walked Uraraka home. That was scary. Hopefully this means that we won't have to deal with the League of Villains, Uraraka said. I'm not so certain. That guy was just a figurehead. The real leader might still be out there, Deku mentioned. This worried Uraraka. She gripped Deku's hand more tightly, and then Deku took notice of this. Is something wrong, Uraraka? I'm just scared. I almost lost you. She was tearing up. Deku wiped away her tears and gave her a kiss. I'm not going anywhere. With that, Uraraka brought in Deku for a deep, passionate kiss, and that's the end of today's episode. Hopefully you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.